I appreciate the reflection of the gentleman from Arkansas about Mr. Hammerschmidt, one of the giants of this House, truly distinguished person. Approached every issue thoughtfully, reflecting on the substance of the matters, never a tone of partisanship in his presentation in committee on the floor, and a particularly touching experience for me was some years ago. Mr. Schuster was chair of the full committee, and we moved the first authorization of EDA in years. And as the bill was moving toward final passage on the floor, I got a message from the Republican cloakroom that Mr. Hammerschmidt was on the phone. So I, with trepidation in my heart, marched into the Republican cloakroom and picked up the phone, and John Paul Hammerschmidt was on the other end of the line laughing. He said, I've always wanted to get you over here in our cloakroom. Congratulations on passage of the bill. It was just so typical of John Paul Hammerschmidt. Cares about the substance cared about the substance and still does of our work here, as does his successor, Mr. Bozeman. Mr. Chairman, this package of legislation is not a jobs bill, although it follows on the Economic Recovery Act, which does provide funding for these projects, for water and for sewer and sewage treatment facilities and water infrastructure financing. This is a list of the projects from the state of Minnesota. I have one here for wastewater infrastructure needs for the state of New York. There are thousands, 6,900 such projects by the various water infrastructure agencies across the nation that are ready to go, ready to be built. Minnesota has prioritized these in the Minnesota Public Facilities Authority from 1 through 261 on wastewater projects. And the need is enormous. We have 12.5 million people out of work in the United States. Of that number, there are 2 million in the construction trades out of work. At an unemployment rate of 8.1% nationwide for February, it's the highest in 25 years. By passing this legislation and putting to work the funding that the administration has indicated in its budget for the coming fiscal year that starts in October, we can make a serious dent in the unemployment numbers that I just cited, along with what will be accomplished with the roughly $5.6 billion in stimulus, half of which is in grant money and half of which is in loan funds. But we will create jobs in both packages, both this legislation and the stimulus need. Now, as to the Davis-Bacon, I'll save my remarks for the amendment offered by the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Mack. Suffice it to say that at a time of high unemployment, of desperate need across this country, an economy that needs people with income and ability to spend and to buy and to stimulate this economy, why would you tell folks work for less? Why would you tell people work for just at or below or around the minimum wage? The prevailing wage is not the union wage. Robert Reich, former Secretary of Labor, said in a radio statement just night before last, right now we need people working at union wages. We need people with money in their pocket to buy, to stimulate this economy. And with the stimulus package, we'll be putting people to work, paying them for work, not paying them unemployment checks for not working. We'll discuss that in more length. I now urge the passage of 1262.